Hello, and welcome to the Torah Outreach Program, Erev Shabbos, Pre-Pesach, Bursts of Inspiration. Today's Burst of Inspiration is sponsored by Dr. Michael and Mrs. G.B. Brody as a zechus for Refuah Sheleima for Meir ben Gershon. I said Pre-Pesach because everyone is going to be way too busy next week to film, make a video, send a video, listen to a video. So we're in the scene of Pesach right now. Everybody's getting ready. Everybody's talking about it. So I figured let's do that now. And it's very fresh in my mind personally, because I'm now going from facility to facility teaching about making a Seder. And there's something that amazes me every year. When I ask unaffiliated Jewish people what they know about the holiday of Sukkot, they'll shake their heads. They have no idea what I'm talking about. A lot of them. Even more of them when I ask about Shavuos. Getting the Torah. The point of Pesach, of coming out of Mitzrayim, is Shavuos, is getting the Torah. Nothing. Purim? Nothing. They know Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Hanukkah, and Pesach. Why Pesach? I have found in dealing with Jewish people from all stripes, completely assimilated, all they know is that they're Jewish. But everybody who associates with being Jewish knows two things. Pesach, and we have, at the very lowest level, there's a special dinner that we have the first night of Pesach. For most people, they know it's called the Seder. But everybody knows. They may have bread at the table, but they'll have a box of matzah there too. And all they'll do is, it'll just be a fancy meal with family. But there's something. Whereas other holidays, they'll go through the holiday and they won't flinch. Why? What is it about Pesach that if you associate with the idea of being Jewish, if you identify as a Jew, you identify with the holiday of Pesach in some way? I came up with a theory. Maybe I'm wrong. Pesach is the identity of the Jewish people. I said, if you identify with being a Jew, you identify with Pesach. And Pesach is the identity of the Jewish people. Another thing I noticed, wherever I go, and I'm dealing with senior citizens, people who are, I've had people in my classes who are over 100 years old. Everybody knows their birthday. They may not remember what year they were born. They may not remember how old they are, but everybody remembers the date. Day and month. I think, for the same reason, everybody remembers Pesach, because that's the birthday of Jewish identity. It's Jewish Independence Day. It is the day that we stopped being a slave culture in a foreign nation and started being the Jewish people. That's what it's all about. So what happened? Miracles that defy every law of nature there is. The 10 plagues and the splitting of the Red Sea purposely was done in a way that defies nature. to show this new nation what their essence is. The identity of the Jewish people. We defy nature. We defy nature. That's our identity. That's who we are. And the biggest proof is, as I tell people, in 1945, people in this country said, that's the end of observant Jewry. Really? Not the end. We've grown so much more since then. It was far from the end. I know a man who told me that the reason he had no connection to his Jewish identity other than Pesach was he wasn't allowed into the synagogue. His parents would take him to synagogue Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And for him it was a day in the park because they played outside the synagogue all day long. They were not allowed inside, and there was actually a security guard. One of the members of the show would stand there and not let the kids in. What was the point? Because the people inside said, this is for adults. The children, the next generation, they're not going to keep this anyway because Judaism is dying out. So the old timers, they want to keep their Judaism. Okay, but there's no way we're going to give it over to our kids. So we might as well keep shul quiet and have the decorum proper for the older generation and let the kids play because it's a waste of everybody's time and it's just noise and aggravation. That's for nothing because it'll never continue. That was the theory in the 1940s and early 1950s. What they didn't know was the essence, the identity of the Jewish people that every single person who calls himself a Jew knows. Pesach. But what they forget is Pesach is a holiday of open, obvious, nature-defying miracles. And that's our essence. That's why we're still here. To quote my favorite writer, Mark Twain, he said, the Jews represent about 1% of world population, maybe even less, I think. And yet, we are the top in literature, science, music, medicine, abstruse learning. He didn't mention this because I don't think there was the Nobel Peace Prize yet. But of the 1% of the world, the Jewish people have 25% of the Nobel Peace Prizes. 1% of the world population, 25% of the Nobel Peace Prize. Something's out of whack. Because we are a people that defies nature. A natural way of calculating would be 1% of the world population is not going to get into the Nobel Peace because but that's just a natural way of doing things. We're not natural. When Rabbi Yisroel went with Rabbi Mordechai Gifter to buy a sefer in a Sfarim store for the yeshiva that they were opening, the Telzer Yeshiva. It was a Judaic store, really. They didn't have many Sfarim. But when they asked for the sefer, he said, I think I have one in the attic. And he brought it down, he dusted it off, and he charged him some exorbitant price. And he said, why so much? He said, because this is the last one. And then he said, Rabbi, said to Rabbi Yisroel Bodkins, I'll sell it to you on condition. And the condition is, I heard you want to open up a yeshiva. The condition is you don't do it. So Rabbi said, what do you have against my opening up a yeshiva? He said, because I know what you went through. You lost your whole family in Europe. I know the heartache that is. I can guess how you felt about it. I don't want you to go through more heartache and heartbreak and struggle to open up something that's not doable in this country. Please don't. He bought the sefer, walked out together with Rav Gifter, and he turned to Rav Gifter afterwards and he said, according to nature, according to the way things are supposed to work, and the odds of how things work, he's 100% right. Since when do we work with nature? Today, there's a Tel Yeshiva in Chicago that is overfull. There's a Tel Yeshiva in Cleveland, Ohio that is overfilled. I think there's another one somewhere in upstate New York. Nature. You can't, Rabbi Yaakov Emden said, you can't explain the Jewish people without talking about miracles. We are, to quote a famous singer, we are a miracle. Rabbi Yaakov Emden said, we are a greater miracle than what we talk about on Pesach. The 10 plagues and the splitting of the Red Sea, that's nothing. The fact that we're still here. As we say in the Haggadah, B'chol dor v'dor, in every generation, someone comes up and tries to destroy us. V'HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and God, Matzilenu Miyadnu, saves us. B'chol dor v'dor. Isn't it true? If anybody wants, the Yantif of Pesach, it's supposed to be a Yantif of enhancing our emunah, our faith, our belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our belief in ourselves as the Jewish people, our belief in the Torah. If there's anything that can enhance our belief, it's just every single Jew should look in a mirror and say, I identify as a Jew. I'm proud of who I am. I'm part of a 3,338 year history. And I'm part of this living miracle. Shabbos and Good Yantiv.